Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name's Ryan, and we're going to check and make sure we're good to go first. Checking. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name's Ryan. I get stuff from yard sales, garage sales, thrift stores, and similar places. Try and make a few extra bucks online. This morning had a pretty decent weekend reselling stuff. 10 sales. One that got canceled, one that actually had like 12 sales, one I had to cancel, and one the buyer canceled. But I think it's going to be something that's going to sell really easily, probably in the next week. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And mostly books, some toys, some cards, and some clothes. And we're going to chat about that for a minute, and a handful of finds from late last week that went pretty well. So that's what we'll jump all over this morning. All right, where are we going? Here we go. All right. Nothing huge, like a lot of bread and butter stuff. No great blew it out the water sales, but all of it was pretty cool. So we'll start there. This was actually a find from Thursday last week, and there she is. This is a 2015 Zag Heroes Miraculous Ladybug Marinette figure. Some of the Miraculous Ladybug figures actually do okay. I don't know how I know that, but it was something that I like wound up looking up at some point. Like, oh, those resell. I need to start keeping an eye out for some of those. And I don't know why, but it just, I saw the size of her and said, let me look that one up, and it wound up being a halfway decent. Actually, she may have been in something with something else that I saw, and actually wound up being a hit there too. Because I got like 2 or 3 bags of things all at the same time. And I wonder if that's where she wasn't just in with something else. I was like, that's a good sale. So, and that sold within like 3 or 4 days at $10. So, and that's about what she's worth. It wasn't like it's a $40 figure that I tripped over, that I undersold. So, another $10 sale, and this is better for you 80s fans. Dino-riders. This pair of guys went for $10. There's a couple of these figures that are worth a lot more, but most of these guys are kind of in the $5 range. So these guys went out the door pretty quickly for $10 for the pair. I have only had those for a couple weeks. There was a stash of 80s figures at the Last Chance Goodwill, and it was like they were almost all like, if you didn't know 80s figures, you were just going to glance over them and not grab them. And there was a handful of real neat stuff in there. So I sold a 3 muscle thumb wrestlers. Like, you remember the little muscle guys, those little guys, but these are like slightly bigger, and they were thumb wrestler versions of those, and those sold for like $10. Like, I sold 3 for $30. And there was a couple other things in there that went. They either going to go for a bunch, or that went really fast. So that was a fun find. All right, next up, bunch of $20 sales. Pair of shorts. Men's Columbia stuff I tend to grab if it's in decent shape and cheap. But this is a pair of men's shorts, and these went for $11. But I like it. Last Chance Goodwill is where I grabbed those from. So that'll be a couple dollars profit there. Next, that one's 17. It's 20. 13. Here's an author I'm going to try to keep an eye out for a little bit. Brian Godawa, Moses. book. He wrote sort of a fictionalized account of a bunch of different biblical characters. Um, I sold about 8 or 10 books of his over the past 6 months, maybe even more. No, since Thanksgiving. I think when I was back with my folks last with a friend of ours who was just looking to get rid of some stuff. And she had a handful of these books, and I've sold probably 7 or 8 since Thanksgiving. And this is like the last one. This one went for $13. Okay, we're just gonna get down the line now. Field shear motorcycle pants. 2 biker gear sales this week. This is just a pair of sort of a motorcycle rain pants by Field Cheer. These went for $20. I got them in the fall, I think. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. Been sitting on them a while. So we'll see how that goes. Glad to see those go out. Glad to see them. That was actually a good call. The next one is a confusing one because you would think these would sell. This would sell better or faster. And I may just be the wrong venue for it, but this is a real neat leather men's biker vest. This went for $20. I think this is a $50 and if you go to if I had an antiques booth, this would probably start at a $50 vest. I started it way higher. I bought a handful of, I've got 3 or 4 biker jackets, like biker jackets, not like cheap knockoff. These are like good leather stuff, and they haven't moved. And they're a little confusing. A couple things did move quick off of that purchase, and it was like I'm not regretting the purchase because I got them like really inexpensively. But I'm just kind of surprised at how slow that some of them did that, how much they haven't moved yet, particularly over the winter. And so like I'm bringing them out to the flea market and stuff now next time I go to see if I can get them to move. But they're nicer stuff. I just don't know. I just don't know. Maybe not know the biker market well enough to know how to resell the jackets, and maybe I need to put them on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe that may need to be the call to go with those. So anyway, that's how that is. All right, next up. These, I think this is like the 5th set of these I've sold in the past year. Piercing the Darkness, This Present Darkness. This is a newer version of this book. This pair went for $20. Yeah, $20. If you have the sort of the original version in like this, but in like way better condition, I've sold 2 of the original ones, $30, $30 to $35 for both books all day long. And one book doesn't sell. You have to have both of them. I confuse the full out of me. So this pair of books by Frank Peretti, Piercing the Darkness, This Present Darkness, Angels, Demons, and they were actually a good read when I was a kid. It was one of those. This was surprisingly better than you thought it should have been, type of book, and those were pretty good. So, all right, next up, we'll go with these books. Another pair of sort of apocalyptic literature. This is J.B. Hickson, Spirit of the Antichrist and False Prophet Deception. So this pair went for $17. So this was a quick flip too. I think I got these late last week before. So those didn't sit real long to get out the door. All right, and finally on my sales is this really neat. This card I thought would go for a little bit more than it did, but it didn't. But that's okay too. Ben Roethlisberger jersey patch card. This one for $20. I had been kind of trickling it down from about 40. I thought because it's a yellow swatch, I thought it would go for a little bit more. And it did. I think it's still a little better than like if it was a plain white or a plain black swatch. Not as much as if it was 2-color, but it still went for pretty good, and it was a neat find out of a batch of. We got a big box of football cards, uh, and there was a handful in there that were worth. They weren't worth a ton, but they've moved pretty good for me. So we'll sip to that. Next up, sold a sort of a choose your own adventure book for $10, but I neglected to see that I had it listed. I sold it in a batch of other stuff a few months ago, and I neglected to see that I had it as a single book, and it sold, and I had to refund the guy. That's annoying. And I took another hit and on my eBay, and that's aggravating because it just is. All right. Next up, this actually sold, but the guy's like, I changed my something, whatever. This is a Power Rangers Dino something morpher, with the little key, Red Ranger key that goes in it. And these things are probably the best selling things you can get Power Ranger stuff. It's if you ever watch the show, these things they're strapped to the character wrists, and they pull them out and they use them and yell out their name and change into the Power Ranger. And cosplay people love these. So I get, even if they're like damaged or missing a part or not quite working, if you can pick one up for a couple bucks, grab it and flip it. These that go in them, these keys and stuff that go in them, those are worth a little bit. So these are worth grabbing. This had actually sold for $30, and the guy changed his mind. But I got it late last week. I think it'll sell within the next 2 weeks between 20 and $30. No problem. And it was something somebody picked up and put down at the thrift store. I was like, y'all messed up, because that's an easy call without even really even thinking about having to look it up with the morphers under $5. Bought a bag full of cars. None were really worth doing a lookup on, a lot of lookup on, but this was in there. And this is, I think if this was in better shape, this would be a really good piece. I think this may be a $5 or $10 piece, maybe a little bit more, of this is the refit, sort of the Star Trek 1 movie, Star Trek 1 and 2 Enterprise. So that was a neat find there. Any books worth? Handful of $5 or $10 books. Nothing. Got one that's going to be worth a little bit. I think this is probably a $20 to $30 book. RPG books, grab them every time. This is a Warhammer Armies Lizard Man. This one's a little bit older. This is like a late 90s book. But this is still like a $20, $30 book. So I grab. It's another one of those things when you get experience. It's always nice to like have stuff that you just grab and toss. You don't even have to look at. You just grab it. You don't have to look it up. You just grab it and toss it in the basket because you know you got something. Anyway, that is everything for this go round. So I will hopefully get this packed up, get it out the door, and we'll catch y'all on the other side. So like, comment, subscribe, or not, please.